turned on, and there was a channel advertising the Playtex Cross Your Heart bra, and it showed a mannequin. It was just from the neck down. It showed a mannequin wearing this bra, not even a person. And it showed about this bra and the support it gives. And I was so embarrassed. I looked at Mom. I didn't know where to hide. I thought, I shouldn't be seeing this. This is not right. Boy, that's pretty tame compared to what they have on television today, right? The commercials? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And right at dinner time, I can't even talk to you in church about the things that are on commercials during prime time. I was just thinking about using examples. I thought, I can't do that. I'm in church. But this would be prime time when families are eating dinner. They're advertising things. Your kids will look at you and go, I can't even tell you what it is. But you could probably gather it has social effects. Jesus said Matthew 6:22, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If the light is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? We all in our minds are to some extent the sum total of what we're looking at, what we're listening to. What are we taking in? We might think, but I'm smart, I'm processing, I'm thinking. TV can't do that to me. It can't hypnotize me. I'm in control. You really don't think it has any effect on you? Watching those things and hearing those things, it doesn't have a defining influence little by little on your values and who you are, your morals? I think media is probably the single most powerful defining factor in the American culture today. And if Christians are drinking in the same media as the world at large, and most of that media is not being produced by Amazing Facts or other good Christian programmers, most of that media is being produced by a debased, evil world. I mean, look at the values of the typical Hollywood. How do they feel about marriage? Not even multiple marriages. They don't even care what the sex is that you're married to. And those values are being permeated on the society. If you read the Bible, you don't have questions about that being right or wrong. So what's changing people's thinking? They're being hypnotized by Sister Gabby. Little by little. It has health effects. I think we all know childhood obesity has clearly been linked to Sister Gabby. And by the way, that's epidemic, and that's leading to an epidemic of diabetes. And a couple of reasons. Now, one of the reasons that it especially affects children, and there's so much childhood obesity, is because time that normally, when I was a kid, my parents used to say, go out and play. We didn't tell them they had to go buy me a $50 toy to play with. They just said, go out and play. And we played with sticks. We played with our friends. We played make-believe. We climbed trees. We had forts. We had clubs. We were bullies. We did all kinds of things. But we played, And now, but there's nothing to do. Have you heard that one before? And you know what works when you say, go out and play, they're sitting there like a lump in front of the TV with a remote control. Go out and do something. You can't watch that much television. I can't think of anything to do. Make a list of chores. Say, well, I've got something for you to do. And they'll find that whenever they say there's nothing to do, you give them a chore, pretty soon they're going to find something to do. Not only does it greatly affect childhood obesity because of lack of activity, it provides more opportunity to snack. It's already a proven fact. People who sit around watching TV snack more. Then the other thing it does, it's advertising food, which makes people more inclined to eat. TV affects your health as far as Alzheimer's. A recent study reports that people who watch too much television can increase their risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Those who pursue more physical and mentally stimulating pastimes such as gardening or reading are less likely to suffer the degenerative brain disease, found Dr. Robert Friedman, who led the study at the University of Medicine in Cleveland, Ohio. He said, when you watch TV, you can be in a semi-conscious state where you're really not learning. People say, well, I'm learning something. He said, no, you're not. See, when you're learning, you're taking information even when you're reading. You have to use your brain to fill in pictures that go along with the words. And you pause and you think about it, and you contemplate the story, and you imagine the story, and you process the story. When you're watching television, they find that you will have less brain activity than when you're reading. You kind of just are drinking it in. It's sort of like when a person has got some kind of health problem and they can't eat, and so they have a tube that goes directly to their stomach and bypasses their taste buds. Now, does anyone really want to get their food through a tube to the stomach? But you know what's happening with television? You're taking in that information via a tube, and it's not going through the filter of your higher reasoning powers. It's just processing it all for you. All the pictures are filled in, and you're just drinking it in. And it is having an effect on who we are. It is linked with an increased risk of Alzheimer's. People who are involved in actively using their minds and exercising. Now listen to this. I'll tell you one reason I'm doing this sermon. The fact I'm about to share with you. I was in Southern California. Somebody gave a health talk last week, and I said, you got to send that to me. And so I'd like to thank Karen Houghton for sending this study to me. It was actually a British school did a study, and they drew upon an Australian study. This is the Australian Diabetes, Obesity, and Lifestyle Study, where they surveyed 12,000 Australian adults, and they concluded, they were studying eating habits and all kinds of things, but one of the amazing results that came out of this study was, listen to this, they found every hour of TV watched after the age of 25 reduces the viewer's life expectancy by 21.8 minutes. Now, did you get that? Sister Gabby can be bad for your health, can cut off the time of life you live. And it wasn't just, you might be reading, you might not be doing anything active, you might be sitting at a desk, but watching television for some reason was different. They concluded, I'm going to read it to you one more time. Every hour of television watched after the age of 25 reduces the viewer's life expectancy by 21.8 minutes. By comparison, smoking a cigarette will shorten your life by 11 minutes. An hour of television watching will shorten your life more than smoking a cigarette. Now, I'm not encouraging you to go out and smoke a cigarette. Well, actually, you'd have to smoke, it'll more than one cigarette. Television. I think there might be something to that. It has mental effects. It affects education. It's already pretty well proven. From the ages of 3 to 5, the average preschooler puts in more hours before a television set than he or she will spend in college. I shared that with you. For many older children, habitual television watching continues as an exercise in passivity at a time when they should be especially active, mastering skills and learning about the world. As a result, heavy television undermines the goals of Christian education, which is to raise children in a wholesome, alert atmosphere who can be adults that will actively serve God and His kingdom and here on earth. Groups of children who are temporarily deprived of television, notice this, become less withdrawn, they earn better grades, they display more imagination, and they improve concentration, all of which are associated with learning. And this I thought was very interesting. Since 1962, the national average SAT scores, indicators of verbal and numerical readiness for college, the SAT test, the scores have steadily dropped, a decline that authorities claim it's not related to changes in the test, but they claim it's partly result to the students' overdependence on television. And they're not studying like they used to, and they're not learning. They are absolutely infatuated with Sister Gabby's stories, and they can't pull themselves away where they read about real life and real knowledge. They're being fed artificial calories, foam without any nutritional value. Now, that's not to say there is nothing good that a person can see on TV. That's what makes it especially dangerous. TV in itself, it's just a mechanism. Printing is a medium to communicate knowledge. Printing's not bad. You can read a good book, you can read a bad book. Radio, it's a medium to communicate audio sounds. It can be music, it could be words, it could be good music, bad music, good words, bad words, right? Television is a combination of communicating audio and visual information. It's especially powerful because it does power to all the senses, and you know what they've got now. No, I don't have one. We don't even have a flat screen television. We still got the tube ones. But you go into Costco, and I'll admit, I kind of look to my right and left. They have the 3D televisions. You probably think, did I just discover that? not too long ago. And I went in there with Nathan the other day, and they had something on and playing, and they have the 3D glasses. And you put on the 3D glasses, and you stand back. This thing is now this wide, and you stand there, and it's like you're immersed in the picture. It's now not only got sound, it's got light, it's got depth. I mean, you could completely get lost in stuff like that. Did you hear me? Yes. You can completely get lost in stuff like that. And I think the devil more and more is trying to hypnotize the church to living in a fantasy world where we're forgetting about the real world that we're in. And unfortunately, the statistics for Christian homes probably isn't a lot different than the regular world. But most of the programs that are on television are not Christian. Now, what we did in our family is we got, and I'm not trying to advertise, but there is a satellite dish you can get where you get Christian channels, just Christian channels. And that gives you a lot of healthier options. If you're going to be watching TV, one of the things I thought was interesting, just a few guidelines you might think about, sit down with your family and talk about what's reasonable. Realize that you've invited somebody in your home that can be dangerous. You also need to have this conversation with your family regarding the internet. Internet can be a tree of good and evil in any home. And you need to talk about these things. Talk about what is a reasonable amount of time to spend watching TV. By the way, in the studies that have been done, they did their best to say what is considered high risk for the mental illness, for the obesity, for the health problems, for the educational problems. They said anything more than 2.5 hours a day television, you become high risk. There's risk with any hours, but you're especially high risk for health problems, for relational problems, for the social problems, for the educational problems. If in an American home a TV is on more than 2.5 hours a day, frankly, I think that's a lot. And of course, it depends what's on. If it's all Amazing Facts and 3ABN, well, then that would be okay. But we all know that's not the case. So, what do? Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if there is anything excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. What does the Lord want us to think about? The things that are noble and good and praiseworthy. 2 Corinthians 3:18. But we all, and this was our scripture reading, we all with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed. Don't forget this principle. We become like what we worship. We do. What you look at, that's why idolatry was such a thing with the Lord. New and Old Testament. Keep yourself from idols. Because you are transformed into the God that you behold. That's why Christ said, if I am lifted up, I will draw. As we see God and we see who He is, we become like the God that we look at. What are we looking at? A lot of people have got an idol, a one-eyed idol in their homes that's really controlling their families. As we behold the Lord, we are being transformed into the same image, from glory to glory, as by the Spirit of the Lord. So what do? Make some rules. If you've got parental lock on your television, depending on if you have cable, you should lock out certain channels. I don't think anybody should be watching MTV, and I won't go through the list, but if you use your judgment according to the Bible, test everything. 1 Thessalonians 5:21, hold on to what is good, avoid every kind of evil, avoid the evil works of darkness. And then this test of King David, Psalm 101, verse 3, if you're writing down some verses, I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It will not cleave to me. Set no wicked thing before our eyes. You know, when the children of Israel were about to enter the promised land, Moses advised them not to forget about the Lord. And in Deuteronomy 11,